Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're not just looking at some comedy special. We're going to break down what is basically a live case study in crisis management, public personas, and honestly psychological survival on the modern internet. Okay, let's get right to the heart of this. Samay Raina basically argues that on the Indian internet, being your authentic self is a huge liability. He says to survive, you have to play a character. And this isn't just about being an entertainer. Nope, it's a calculated, strategic move that has very, very real consequences. So, how does this game he's talking about actually work? Well, it all starts with making a conscious choice about the persona you're going to put out there. Now, the strategy he lays out here is absolutely fascinating. Raina's whole point is that having a clean image, like the one another creator, Beer Biceps, built up, it's actually a trap. Yeah, you get a ton of praise, but the stress is immense. You make one mistake, just one, and that same audience turns on you in a second. So what did he do? He intentionally built a controversial character. Why? Because when nobody expects you to be a saint, you basically become immune to cancellation. You're free to be flawed.
And this is where it gets crazy, because his entire theory plays out in real time. The massive controversy that followed wasn't even sparked by his own character. No. It was ignited when Beer Biceps, the guy with the clean image, made a crude joke on Raina's show. He completely violated the expectations he had built with his audience. So let's trace exactly how this one little clip completely spiraled out of control and became a national news story. I mean, look at this timeline. The speed is just insane. On day 2, it's just a viral clip on Twitter. By day 3, it's being debated on national news channels. And by day 4, we're talking serious legal action, with FIRs filed in 3 different states, one of them by a chief minister. It's just a perfect example of how quickly online anger can turn into a real-world nightmare. And the professional fallout? It was brutal and immediate. He was under massive pressure from the Mumbai police, who had actually arrested his editor, and he was forced to delete his most popular show, a show with 40 million unique viewers every month. Just gone. But, losing the show, that was just the tip of the iceberg. The personal and the psychological cost, that was way, way higher. Okay, let's talk about the money. He was looking at a potential loss of 8 crore rupees if he had to cancel his US tour. Now, to put that in perspective for you, he says his entire life savings at that point, everything he'd ever worked for, was 7 crore. So he was literally facing financial ruin.
And that's when things get really scary, because it stopped being about the show and started getting intensely personal. His private phone number was leaked online, and that just opened the floodgates for nonstop harassment. It wasn't just random hate anymore. We're talking targeted, explicit death threats. People were sending him photos of his parents, threatening to harm them. The digital storm had officially crossed over into the physical world. And this is where you see the true cost of all that online pressure. It boils over into a severe mental health crisis. He describes being backstage, right about to perform, and having an anxiety attack so intense that he started losing his grip on what was real, a terrifying feeling that he later learned is called psychosis.
So when you're in a spiral like that, how on earth do you find your way back? For Raina, the turning point, maybe surprisingly, came from his family.
The real breaking point, the moment that really shattered him, wasn't something that happened to him. It was seeing a video of his elderly parents, who had nothing to do with any of this, humiliating themselves by falling at the feet of police officers. He said that was the final nail in the coffin. It totally shifted his focus from his own pain to theirs. And right in the middle of all this chaos, his father says something so simple yet so profound. The show exists because of you. You don't exist because of the show. That one sentence was a lifeline. It was this powerful reminder to separate who he was from what he did for a living.
And that's really what grounded him. You have to remember, his father had been through a far greater loss. He'd lost his actual home in Kashmir, and he never broke. Seeing that quiet strength, that incredible resilience, it put his own digital crisis into perspective. His dad's stability became the emotional anchor he desperately needed.
So, what can we all learn from this? Because the end of this special isn't just a story. It's basically a playbook, a survival guide for navigating any high-stakes conflict, whether it's online, in your office, or just in life.
And it all comes down to this moment. He's sitting there, and a police officer asks him a very direct question. Are you going to apologize or not? And this forces a really tough choice.
Do you stick to your artistic principles, or do you choose practical, real-world survival?
So he's weighing these two completely opposite ideas. On one side, you have this romantic, idealistic quote from George Orwell that every joke is a tiny revolution. Fight for your art. But on the other side, you have the cold, hard reality presented by the police. Apologize, or you're going to jail. And this is the powerful conclusion he lands on, a piece of wisdom he credits directly to his family's experience. He says, "You only fight when the fight is fair. When the fight is not fair, you fuck off from there." In other words, in an unfair fight, just getting out in one piece is the victory. Survival itself is the win.
So, let's just distill this whole thing into a clear playbook. 4 key lessons. 1. Detach. Treat the high-pressure stuff, office drama, online mobs, like a game. Don't let it become who you are. 2. Separate your work from your self-worth. Remember his dad's advice. 3. Know when not to fight. Survival is way more important than winning a battle you're guaranteed to lose. And 4, maybe the most important of all, find your anchor. Find the people, the perspectives that keep you grounded when the whole world is spinning.
Ultimately, this whole ordeal leaves us with a really provocative question, doesn't it? What's more valuable in the end, the persona you carefully build to become successful, or the true self you have to protect when it all threatens to come crashing down? It's something to think about. Thanks for joining us for this explainer.